So, Eric, we're completely out of time, but like I want to keep the conversation going. I want to geek out. Let's go into it. You know, there is so much to unpack in this space, right? Like I literally am subscribing to multiple newsletters per day and trying to stay on top of the topic. The evolution of this space is mind-boggling. I'm probably checking out, 8 different new GitHub projects that have just launched in relation to this space, the evolution of the threat landscape. A couple of thoughts, right? Just a couple of things that, like, I'm as a CISO at a global cybersecurity company, I have top of mind, right? All organizations are targeted. I'm certainly very mindful of our own organization. And it's all about accelerating response. It's all about getting, if I see something potentially malicious, I'm going to take that system offline. I'm going to isolate. I'm going to try and reduce that blast radius because bad actors are clearly moving much, much faster, right? We know that, dwell time is down, where it used to be, quite a while before something got detected. We're detecting it faster, but that just means bad actors need to operate faster. And we've seen them operate at just staggering speed with tremendous coordination. So for me, it just, we're dealing with an incredibly sophisticated adversary at almost all times. We have to continue to just be that much better, right? So whatever we did last year, whatever we did 5 years ago, clearly the game has changed, right? So what are we going to do differently that's going to create a better result, right? That's how I look at it.
As a CISO, right? Uh, yeah, we're paranoid, right? We're always in this paranoid state, right? And AI, it hasn't helped at all, right? And so now, we barely get sleep at night because we're worried about what don't we know and who's in the environment and why haven't we detected it and now we have AI, which is now they're at it, as you stated, the pace is accelerated, they're more efficient, they're more advanced, and not only that, but if you top on or you couple onto that, just the enormous economy of scale and the financial benefits to being able to successfully compromise an organization today. Right? I mean, these guys are making tons of money, and so they're motivated, right? They're super motivated and they're sponsored, and it's like, okay, we got to get technology, we got to get smart, and we got to implement this as quickly as we possibly can. And so for me is it's just it's an additional vector, it's an additional means to which is an advanced means of successfully compromising an organization. More so, not from an aspect of technology on technology. It's more so on the bad guys leveraging AI to compromise the weakest chain in the link, right? Or the link in the chain, which is the human, right? And sometimes we lose the aspect of that, but the human element and being able to optimize, a social engineering attack leveraging AI, it's mind-boggling. So we have to stay on top of that.
Eric, look, yeah, I remember, time and time again, I've had organizations I've been CISO for, and they'll bring forward like a campaign, some spear phishing campaign or something like that. And it's Sally in accounting or accounts payable, and Sally's like, oh my God, they just spoofed somebody and said, you're in the accounting department. How could they possibly know that? It's like it's on LinkedIn. They just
Yeah.
they just sourced it from there and said this person reports to this person's listed as the manager. Okay, if I pretend to be the manager, I can probably get Sally to go send some funds out. Right.
Right.
So imagine
Right.
if that was true 5, 10 years ago by just sourcing some information that's publicly accessible, what happens when you have the entire organization's org structure consumed, digestible, and available to a threat actor, right? The insights they can get. Look, I love truly geeking out on this stuff because I think it is part of our evolution and our role, right? I'm personally leveraging techniques as a CISO. So I have Grok with X, Twitter, right? Formerly known as Twitter. I'm using their Gen AI to summarize. It's like, hey, give me top cybersecurity news from the Twitter sphere, from X, from all the posts that are going on around the world, and it's coming back in a really insightful and interesting way. You can put it in fun mode, and it can come up with some really interesting output. But I also have a subscription for OpenAI, and I'm looking at ChatGPT and having it do analysis, and it's really amazing. You could take an error code from something that I don't distract my SOC, right? I don't want their focus, but sometimes CISOs want to go off and dig into something themselves, and I don't think.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that, right? And here's another spin to it, right? And what I do is, how about use AI to keep track of AI? And so I, from time to time, I get on, Chat GPT or some other technology, and just ask the question, hey, what's new today? What's the new model today? What are the new attacks today? Or what are the new enhancements? That's a unique perspective, and from time to time, and it's just fascinating. It's fascinating what it responds with, and how fast it responds. And so, it's just fascinating for me.
Yeah, so we have some really neat things we've started to talk about as a company, because the exploiting these to the benefit of CISO and information security organizations is key. And we have, thank goodness, we have some folks who are geeking out right alongside of us, who are thinking about these problems, who are saying, how do I try to summarize thousands upon thousands of events and alerts, and try to give the SOC analysts a couple of key insights and say, hey, listen, you really need to look at this. Here's some information based on everything I can see. Here's my recommendation, right? Like that, those are the kinds of outcomes that I think we all desire, right? We are all looking for that kind of capability to come to the market, to give our SOC analysts a fighting chance, because we're all facing the same kind of challenges. It's hard to hold on to SOC resources. There's, a knowledge gap always. So we're always like, it's one of these things where you can feel on your heels, like you're on your heels, trying to match the challenges. So I'm excited about that. I think you'll see some of that that's coming out in the market. But for us, looking at as CISOs, looking at how do I exploit these capabilities, there are great resources, great people out there leveraging Gen AI to inform you and help you think about Gen AI. I think that's a fantastic use case. If you're familiar with Ray Kurzweil, he was the chief scientist at Google. He talked about, in a book he wrote called "The Singularity is Near." He talks about the singularity, and one of the key points he makes in the book is technology is not moving on the typical incremental basis that you think of technology, right? The invention of the microwave, the invention of the cell phone, all those things. He's saying technology is actually on an exponential curve. That is to say, the next 6 months are not going to look like the last 6 or the last 6 years, right? It's exponential growth. And that's something where it's like, we need to fundamentally change how we're consuming information, how we're bringing these capabilities to bear. And whatever we were doing, if we were like, hey, it's going to take me 6 months to 12 months to deploy this new control, the market's moving just too fast. We're going to have to find ways that we're more efficient, more effective, introducing change into an organization, which makes us, I think, critical leaders in the evolution of an organization's change, right? Enterprise change management.
And I think more conversations, just like what we're having today, Harold, is essentially what's needed, right? I mean, I think many of us as CISOs, we are, education is critical, and information sharing it's even more important. So, having these type of conversations, either one-on-one, in your small groups or associations, or attending large conferences, and just continually just sharing information, because there's always someone doing it just a slightly different, and we can, and knowing those key differences, right, and being able to consolidate on that, and be able to bring that back into your own organization, could be just super effective.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. In fact, depending on what sector and area of the world you're working in, financial services, we know that the SEC, many of the bank regulators and others have really promoted this idea of you need to be partnering with your peers in the industry. You need to be talking, if you're at Citigroup, you need to be talking to JP Morgan. So things like the FS ISOC, the Health ISOC, who Denise is the chair for, and I hope you and her are connected. If not, we'll connect you. These are great ways that we're sharing information where the good guys are talking to the good guys. I've said before, and I'll say again, it's the one advantage we have. So if bad actors can attack us all day long, the one advantage we have is to all be able to say, hey, there's bad guy over there. Here's threat intelligence about that bad guy. So we are all improving our own defenses as a result of an attack against one. Sort of like the NATO model. An attack against one is an attack against all. If we're all sharing information that way, we're getting better, right? But that can start uncomfortable, right? Many organizations, many industries are not accustomed to that concept. But I think it's what's called for, right?
I completely agree. And that just, as a CISO, and if you have an engineering background, and I know I come from the engineering side, from the engineering perspective, you want to be the smartest person. You want to walk in a room and be that immediate, have that immediate credibility and be the subject matter expert that everyone, turns to ask questions and to get answers. But as a CISO, it sort of shifts a bit, right? Now it's okay. Do I really want to be the smartest guy in the room, or do I want to be effective in protecting and defending my organization? And if that's the case, then I have to be honest about I don't know everything about this particular either threat, risk, technology, or advancement, and someone else may. And so, and does it make me less effective if I go and ask Harold a question about something he may have implemented? And then I can take that nugget and bring it back to my organization, and I'm much more, prepared to defend or enable the business, right? And I think that's what we have to, as CISOs, right? When we make that shift from an engineer to a CISO, we have to shift that thought process. We got to think about the business.
Wholeheartedly. I've enjoyed our conversation. This is a collaboration, a platform that I think we need to continue to do more of, right? Where we can go sort of talk about the challenges. There are new CISOs or people aspiring to be CISOs, and we would love to get the idea of what's involved here, right? What are we thinking about? What are the challenges we face? And it's not just what you would think, cyber threats, and there is a lot at work here that requires that kind of collaboration. So thank you again. Really appreciate the time today.
All right, thanks, Harold.
Take care.